Who built the pyramids and why do scientists not know? Nobody knows who built the pyramids even though scientists have been studying them for thousands of years. Why don't they just finally admit it must be aliens? Stones that big are too heavy to move for camels. And if humans built them, then why didn't they tell anyone they did? Also, did people have lasers to cut stones? I don't think so. Stupid. And what about the Sphinx too then? Who built the pyramids and why do scientists not know? Scientists do know who built them, though. The Egyptians built them. Why don't they just finally admit it must be aliens? Because that is nonsensical. We know where they quarried the stones. Largely there on the site. The quarry is still there. We know how they moved large stones. They left drawings of the process, which was basically rock the stone up onto a sledge. Attach a fuck ton of ropes. A fuck ton of guys on each ropes. Designate one's guy to pour water or oil in front of the sledge runners to make it slide easier. And pull. They had tons of labor since the economy of Egypt was based on a cycle of farming on lands that flooded in the off-season. When the farmland was flooded, farmers had nothing to do and were available to work construction jobs. No need for aliens for any of that. Stones that big are too heavy to move for camels. Nobody has ever said camels moved them. That I ever heard. Where'd you hear that? And if humans built them, then why didn't they tell anyone they did? Why do you assume that they didn't? The work crews left messages on the stones that they moved. For example, who should they have told that they didn't tell? Also, did people have lasers to cut stones? I don't think so. Stupid. Nobody ever claimed they used lasers. Arguing against a claim nobody ever made is called a straw man argument. You seem prone to them. And what about the Sphinx too then? What about it? Much easier to do than the pyramids. Since the Great Sphinx was carved from a rock outcropping in place, it did not have to be moved. There was a thread like this in Paul, but it disappeared before I wrote my answer. Here it is. I have studied this a lot. This will sound crazy, but in case someone is truly interested in this and not just trolling here, this message is for you. Graham Hancock has it correct to a degree, but he is not going all the way. Graham Hancock stops when people start to mention spaceships, but he does acknowledge a high culture and moderately high-tech civilization pre-Ice Age 10,000 years ago. Here's the rest. You can't talk about the 3 large pyramids in Egypt without talking about all the other pyramids and so-called megalithic structures around the world, including the underwater ones like in Pic, the Cuba Pyramid. Different pyramids have different origins, but they're still quite the same. There are few kind of builders. 1. Some pyramids in the Central and South American area were built with humans and aliens. The aliens were human-looking. They saw humans as dumb peasants but nice. This is where the gods came from. Space legends come from. They traveled to Earth frequently. 2. Some pyramids and megalithic structures were built by purely Earth-based cultures, but they had access to high-tech like special stone-cutting beam devices. Possibly even levitation machines. Stones were not concrete or geopolymer. How tough it's possible some were. But try to replicate it with known today's tools, you can't. Devices were received either from Group 1 or 3. 3. The largest pyramid building group that existed, that has had also links or contacts to number 1 is, they were not pharaohs. There exists or existed, current location, unknown, a so-called Atlantean-era spacefaring superhuman-looking race. Humans were made in a laboratory by crossing monkeys and something. Possibly a with superhumanoid. Guess what? So were many alien species in our galaxy. Likely millions years ago. Who did it is unknown. The big aliens who made humans were not the pyramid builders. How tough they could possibly have done thinga like that somewhere long ago, I guess. The first Homo sapiens long ago were also not the pyramid builders, but their offspring were. Where humans came to Earth. Who knows? Long ago someone creates Homo sapiens and others. Several variations likely exist all around space. Fast forward maybe 1,000,000 years. Anti-gravity light speed spaceships and beam and other technology is created likely on Earth, or without help from other civilizations, aliens. These Earth-based humans colonized space, where exactly? Unknown. Likely inside a distance of 0 to 100 light-years. Today their descendants could be farther if they still exist. These humanoids lived separately on Earth from the rest of the Homo sapiens, normal people. They became the so-called Atlantean supercultures like Mu, Lemuria, advanced cities while normal people were primitive. These are your pyramid builders. Some groups were more advanced than others. Here's a partial technological description, as good as I can give, how they build the pyramids of Egypt. 1. Find suitable area. 2. Flatten the surface where required. A spaceship was used. 3. They cut the rocks from the spaceship or from the ground using not a laser but something similar that can split a rock like that. 4. The whole process is high-tech as some stones still radiate magnetic fields. 5. Stones in Egypt pyramids, 3 biggest, were 100% positively lifted in air with a spaceship and levitated from the quarries and lowered in place. The pyramids were likely built in few years at most. So the builders are a mix of 1. Aliens not from Earth, visiting, who liked to build stuff with the natives. 2. A high-tech Homo sapiens race but not the top tier. 3. A higher high-tech race who had spaceships and liked to live in separation from rest of Earth. Groups 2 and 3 likely fought and are reason for the old myths of space war legends / Mars nuked. Group 3 likely still exists but where, who knows. Out of, some UFO sightings made in space, are likely their descendants. Including UFOs of past 500 years, excluding Tic Tacs and most seen after 1960s as they could have been modern secret aircraft by different countries. This info must be known in highest levels of governments and secret societies but it's kept a secret for the best of mankind so we don't go ape crazy. Also, why did they stop pyramid building? Who knows? Likely somewhere in the depths of space, mountains of deep sea, exists secret old ancient libraries telling the whole truth, written in stone. Will we find these? Who knows? Also, about pharaohs. Some pharaohs could have been the original builders or their children. They arrived, took over for few centuries, left. I think Akhenaten could have been an alien or a Group 3 advanced humanoid. It is widely accepted among scholars and historians that the pyramids were built by ancient Egyptians over a period of several centuries, from around 2600 BC to 2500 BC. While there is still some debate over the exact methods used to build the pyramids, there is no credible evidence to suggest that they were constructed by aliens or any other extraterrestrial beings. The idea that the pyramids were built by aliens is a popular conspiracy theory, but it lacks any scientific or archaeological evidence to support it. The stones used to construct the pyramids were not too heavy for the technology available to ancient Egyptians at the time. They used ramps, levers, and other simple machines to transport and lift the stones into place. Furthermore, ancient Egyptian writings and art depict the construction of the pyramids and provide evidence that they were built by human labor. It is also worth noting that the pyramids were not built in secret. They were highly visible and served as important religious and cultural landmarks. The Sphinx, which is located near the pyramids, was also built by ancient Egyptians, likely during the reign of Pharaoh Khafra. The Sphinx was carved from a single piece of limestone, using simple tools and techniques that were available at the time. In summary, there is no credible evidence to suggest that aliens built the pyramids or the Sphinx. While there is still some mystery surrounding the construction methods used, it is widely accepted that they were built by ancient Egyptians using human labor and simple tools and techniques.
The use of ramps to build the pyramids is actually one of the most widely accepted theories among archaeologists and Egyptologists. While there is still some debate over the exact construction methods used, there is ample evidence to suggest that ramps were an important tool in the building of the pyramids. The use of ramps is supported by numerous ancient Egyptian texts and drawings that depict workers pulling blocks of stone on sledges up ramps. In addition, archaeologists have discovered evidence of ramps and other construction infrastructure at various pyramid sites. While the use of ramps may seem implausible to some, it is a theory that is widely supported by evidence and has been studied extensively by scholars and experts in the field of Egyptology. One popular theory is that a series of ramps were built along the sides of the pyramid as it was being constructed. These ramps would have allowed workers to transport blocks of stone up to the level where they were being placed into position. As the pyramid grew taller, new ramps would have been built on top of the existing ones. Another theory suggests that a single ramp may have been built spiraling around the pyramid, allowing workers to transport stones up to higher levels. The spiral ramp would have gradually increased in height and circumference as the pyramid grew taller, and workers could have used sledges and rollers to move the massive stone blocks up the ramp. Regardless of the specific details, it is likely that ramps were an essential tool in the construction of the pyramids. The use of ramps allowed workers to transport large blocks of stone up to higher levels, and it is a testament to the ingenuity and engineering skills of the ancient Egyptians that they were able to construct such massive structures using relatively simple tools and techniques. While the use of ramps in pyramid construction is still a topic of debate among scholars, it is true that some ancient Egyptian texts do suggest that ramps were not the primary method used to construct the pyramids. One such text is the Diary of Mirror, a papyrus that describes the transportation of limestone blocks from Tura to Giza during the construction of the Great Pyramid. In the text, Mirror describes the use of boats to transport the blocks along the Nile, as well as the construction of a causeway that may have been used to transport blocks over land. Additionally, some scholars have suggested that workers may have used a system of counterweights and pulleys to lift the massive stone blocks into place. This technique, known as the lever and counterweight system, is still used today in some construction projects and is considered to be a highly efficient method of lifting heavy loads. While the use of ramps in pyramid construction is still a topic of debate, it is important to note that the ancient Egyptians were highly skilled engineers and builders who developed innovative techniques for constructing massive structures. The exact methods used to build the pyramids may never be fully understood, but it is clear that the construction required a tremendous amount of labor, ingenuity, and skill.
The Egyptians did with help from their gods. It's all written, right in their annals, yet we're still dead set on approaching history with our own bullshit approaches that aren't relevant to how things were done. Aliens are secular cope to explain supernatural events that can't fit into the framework they've constructed for themselves. Human hands couldn't make this. That's because they weren't made by solely human hands. Then mu aliens. No? The Egyptians had what, 8 gods? These gods didn't come from nowhere, they're not a figment, they had presence. You didn't have fedora Egyptians who were like actually Horus and Osiris, not real Desu. Their gods were evident to them. Their gods clearly helped them make the pyramids. But everything has to be explained via materialism. Why? Because you say so?
TBH, the second part, why don't we know, is more interesting to me. Sure, there are lots of theories on how it might have been done. But think about this for a moment, we're talking about one of the biggest engineering feats in history. The planning for it alone would have taken decades, and much of this would need to be written down. How does that information just get lost? If the Egyptians, or whoever, knew how to build such a structure, surely they'd also realize the need to preserve these engineering techniques in the case of a cataclysm. It defies belief that they wouldn't have the information saved in various places and closely guarded, with a system to pass it on no matter what happens. I strongly suspect that it's no mystery at all and that a small group of elites is aware of exactly how the pyramids were built.
People keep asking who built the pyramids, but not why. My studies conclude it's multi-purpose, testament to their technology, cooperation, and intelligence. A calendar, 2046 to 2104 is what all its measurements and information count down to. A beacon of hope for humanity in the face of constant reset catastrophes. Energy and spiritual center of Earth, Giza Pyramid. Fun fact, no other pyramids were able to copy the Giza Pyramid exactly down to exact measurements, height, and degrees inside and out. Despite this, Mesoamerica pyramid has exact measurements of Giza but 50% height difference and also has same orange star cluster alignment.
There was a topic about this yesterday where OP wrote China got the tech for cutting stones in a way where the device extracts minerals and orbs from stone with help of this machine reversed engineered from alien tech. The machine fires some light or lasers and is able to directly pull stones from mountain, but Chinese version only works for few seconds cause they still don't understand E115. Possibly this tech is connected with some tech used for building pyramids.
You make a lot of good points. I think it's fun to imagine how things like the pyramids could have been built, whether by super intelligent humans that just happened to be born in the right place at the right time or extraterrestrial intelligence. The only thing that stops me from going down the rabbit hole is the realization that even if it's true I wouldn't know what to do with the knowledge. I'm not a scientist and I don't have any influence on the masses. So if I were to discover that aliens built the pyramids, I doubt my life would change much. Maybe I'd write a book or something, then just go back to my regular life. Whereas someone smarter and more motivated would be able to use the knowledge to do some cool shit that has never been done before.